Big story here. A political thunderclap shook Nigeria's opposition landscape last week as former Vice President Atiku Abubakar formally exited the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, along with several high-profile allies and power brokers, declaring allegiance to the African Democratic Congress ahead of the 2027 elections. The realignment described as both strategic and surgical has triggered internal panic within the PDP, where fault lines over zoning, leadership fatigue, and ideological differences in direction have been quietly widening. Meanwhile, observers say the shift could redraw battle lines for the ruling APC, now forced to reckon with a potential third forced resurgence just 2 years to a crucial general election.
Ooh. So what does this defection mean for the PDP, already reeling from years of internal dissent? And what does it do for the ADC's credibility and electoral weight? And most importantly, how should the APC read the temperature heading into 2027? To help us unpack this political realignment, we're going to be joined by Umar Sani. He is a former Special Advisor on Media and Publicity to Vice President Umar Sani. Also joining us is respected Public Affairs Analyst Biodun Sowunmi. Sir, welcome to the program. We thank you so much for coming on. Sowunmi.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. Let me just start with you. Was it a surprise seeing Atiku's, I don't think it was...
It's his official letter.
His official letter, really. I mean, it was expected that he was going to somewhat step away from the PDP, but an entire resignation. What was your reaction to that?
Well, I think it was predicted that Atiku will not stay with PDP. It's quite in line with his character. If you look at Atiku, he's been moving from one party to the other in pursuit of his own personal ambition. There's nothing wrong with that. If he feels he's in a platform that cannot see to the realization of his own ambition, then it's better to move to where you think you can get it realized. The problem with it is that over a period of time, you begin to lose some supporters who will see him only as pursuing personal goal, not the overall objectives of himself and his own supporters. So that's just the risk. But apart from that, it was highly predicted that Atiku will soon be, because it's been neutered in PDP by the weakest faction, unfortunately, and he has not been able to solve the problem within the PD. So he felt he needed to move his platform to another coalition, which eventually, dissolved itself into ADC. That's the situation of things currently, and that will make it more highly competitive, because there are also other people within the ADC who are interested in contesting for presidency.
Mr. Sowunmi, it's a very interesting dynamic here, and many people are arguing about his integrity, and I mean Atiku's integrity when it comes to jumping ship, because he seems to be a serial ship jumper when it comes to the politics of Nigeria. It must be the 100th time he's changed parties, and people see this. So first off, regarding his integrity, how has his integrity, or how did his integrity while he was inside of the PDP, how will that affect the preference for the ADC? Does this strengthen the ADC? Does it make it a serious contender for the APC? And who's left inside the PDP at this point? The question one has to ask. What's your take?
Oh, yeah. In the first instance, when it comes to integrity, there are always debates around Atiku. I'm being careful not to use certain very strong words. The issue of integrity has always been debated. You only need to go and read Obasanjo's My Watch, and then you understand what I mean. And again, if you actually look at the way and manner the defection or the coalition coalesced into ADC happened, it will also highlight one thing, which is about integrity. Because we were all told, by that Nigeria, there was the fear of Nigeria becoming one-party state, with the way the APC is rampaging all over the whole place, and therefore there's a need to strengthen democracy and ensure that we do not become one-party state. That was a major excuse given at that time when Atiku and his co-travelers were in other parties. But the way Amanda they took over ADC was quite very alarming when it comes to integrity. It's actually short of that. You cannot join a party in a day and then the same day become the national leaders of the party when the party constitution, the ADC constitution, says that you must have been a member for 2 years before you can hold office in ADC. So for me, that speaks a lot about integrity, and it does not go well. For me, I think it will always raise issues around the ADC itself if that is tolerated. The second issue is about the impact on APC. Of course, APC will be affected, no doubt about it. They would try and talk this down to say that, well, it's nothing, this or that. We should not forget that the strength of ADC is coming in from the weakness of PDP, because those who are joining the ADC are from PDP. There is a faction of PDP that is joining the ADC. The fact of the matter, at the end of the day, is will it strengthen the ADC itself? That's a different matter completely. Will it strengthen the PDP itself? That's a different matter completely. You're likely going to see a situation where the ADC will get strengthened while the PDP will get weakened. But in terms of when it comes to electoral production, you're likely going to see a reduction in the number of votes of PDP. They probably will not command the same votes they commanded at the last election. I mean, due to the Atiku's factor, no doubt about it. But will he, through the ADC, will they get enough votes, to change the political fortune of ADC? I doubt it. So rather, we would have more weakened, opposition parties in the country. That's what we are likely going to end up having, without being able, to change the fortunes of APC in terms of who controls the presidency.
Very interesting times to find ourselves when it comes to voting and zoning. I would think that Atiku is from Adamawa. We hope to see whether he will be able to garner, votes, and with Peter Obi garnering votes as well from the eastern part of Nigeria. We wait to see what that would translate in terms of exit polls for 2027. But another big name that is also at the political arena now, when it comes to defections, is Adeleke, from the PDP to the APC. But first, we're being informed that Umar Sani is joining us now. Guys, yeah, there we go. We have him there. Mr. Umar Sani, he is one of the media advisors for former Vice President Namadi Sambu. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. I appreciate you for coming on. Now, we've been talking about the PDP and Atiku's exit or resignation from the PDP. You are in the party, so I do have to ask, what informed his decision to want to resign outright from the party?
If you have followed the trajectory of Atiku's political movements from 1999 to date, you will understand why certain decisions he has taken are very necessary. And he is not, most people believe that he is a serial defector. But to me, I don't believe that that is the case. When he came on board with President Olusegun Obasanjo in 1999, in their second term, they fell out. And that they are falling out resulted that Atiku cannot contest under the banner of the party he helped to form, where he is a foundation member, because Obasanjo will not allow him to contest. So he has to look for another platform. And that platform happens to be Action Congress. They came together with President Bola Tinubu at that time to form the Action Congress, where Atiku went in to contest under the Action Congress. After some time, he left the Action Congress and returned back to the PDP when Obasanjo was no longer, didn't have a hand in the party. And he stayed with the PDP. In fact, he contested with Goodluck Jonathan himself and Sarah Jibril in the 2011 presidential primaries, where Goodluck Jonathan triumphed. And, and he was still in the party. But prior to 2015, when there was supposed to be a primary within the PDP decided that they were only going to sell one form. To me, being a Democrat, Atiku felt that that was not the right thing to do, that he had to allow the space for internal democracy. And so there has to be a contest. And so since there was no contest, they only sold one form to Goodluck Jonathan. He felt he needed to go to a place where he had to contest, even if he has to win or lose, but at least where democracy thrives. So he moved to the APC, believing that he has the capacity to win the primaries there, you know. But unfortunately, Buhari defeated himself and Konkoso, and he came back to the PDP. And coming back to the PDP, he tried as much as possible to revive the party. Since he came back, he has not left. Now, under the current dispensation, and with the problems plaguing the party, where Wike has become the Lord of the Manor in the party, how could he have gotten any opportunity to exercise his fundamental rights, you know, in deepening our democracy by contesting primaries? No way, because the party is not stable, is plagued by so many problems, and so he and other like-minded Democrats decided to join another political party, because they had two options, whether to form or to join. And they knew that because the incumbent will be threatened by a new party coming in, they had to look for another party to join it, so that they can, you know, revive our democracy. The one-party state that we were gravitating towards will no longer be there. And I think with the coming of the ADC, you know, they are giving the necessary fight that we, the PDP, are not giving. They are providing the necessary opposition. They have, since they came in, they have challenged the status quo, and they have made the presidency sit up. They have made the presidency do so many things
Mr. Sani,
that ordinarily, if it were a PDP, with only one press statement per month,
Mr. Sani,
there will have been nothing.
When you look at the trajectory of Atiku, right, and his ambition for presidency, one has to ask about this at this point whether this is, you know, for the sake of Nigeria and deepening the democracy of Nigeria as you described, or just one man's ambition, you know, because he has tried so many times and he has made different turns to get to that seat of power, and every single time he's somewhat failed, right? And when he even clinched the ticket for the PDP, he's failed as well. How many times have the PDP given him the ticket to run for presidency, and yet he was unable to win that election? Don't you think it's time for him to take a step back instead and now become the party stalwart and become an influential voice in the party?
You see, in Nigeria's democracy, it is very difficult to upstage an incumbent. And the only time an incumbent was upstaged was when Goodluck Jonathan was defeated by Muhammad Buhari. Apart from that, that feat has never been repeated by any other person, because the incumbents use all means necessary to ensure that they retain power. Now, even Buhari himself, who contested 3 times and decided to give up because he felt he was being cheated, and that in all these elections he contested in 2003, 2007, and 2011, he felt he won the election, but he was skimmed out. So he decided to say, okay, you know, I give up. But the democratic forces within our country, El-Rufai, Tinubu, and the rest, decided to bring him back, remodel him, bring him into an alliance, you know, a conglomeration of other political parties, form that very strong union, and then challenge the PDP. And they were successful, because Buhari, in his 4th trial, happened to succeed. to win the presidency. Now, taking a cue from that, Atiku has been on the ballot from 1999 to date 3 times. Once under the AC and then twice under the PDP. Now, if you take a cue, what with Buhari, you know, the condition necessary for him to win will have been in 2023. But the votes of PDP were divided between Labour Party and PDP. Now, both of them are in the same party. So we are hoping that the votes will be concentrated and that the incumbent will find it very difficult to be able to win the 2027 general election. And for you to say whether it is an ambition, personal, or whatever ambition it is inconsistent with our constitution. You have the right to have an ambition. You have the right to look for legitimate means to realize that ambition. There are equal opportunities for all. There is nobody who is greater than any other person. From any other tribe, from any other region, from any other, you can aspire to become the president of Nigeria. So it is not an offense.
The thing about ambition is that it drives you. It drives you further, almost to the edge, because you're so, wrapped up in your ambition. You somewhat don't see the signs, right? Now he's an ADC with one of the individuals or several individuals who have who worked against him in the past, and one of them is El-Rufai, like you rightfully pointed out. I wonder what that would mean, for the future, for his future or his ambition in the future. But away from that, I'm going to pass the baton on to Mazzino.
Oh, I thought you were going to.
I
wanted you to land by asking exactly whether. Yeah. I think I know what you're trying to say. But finish it up, please. It's interesting.
Okay, so again, very unlikely bedfellows that we're seeing here. Very unlikely fellows. In this ambition of becoming president, he has now gone into alliance with El-Rufai as well as Dino Melaye as well. And so he begs to ask the question: what would it look like for Atiku Abubakar in 2027?
You see, El-Rufai has prides himself as somebody who has never joined any other coalition or any situation and has lost. For every place he has joined, he has always won. So he believes that coming together with Atiku, they have a chance of winning. Now, the issue is not even about whether they are straight-based. Politics is dynamic. Mm-hmm. Those people you believe that are straight-based fellows can come together because other factors can join them together, and that is what we call alignment and realignment. People of the same pedigree, the same mindset, the same ambition, the same passion for Nigeria, the same patriotism, can come together and say, okay, no, enough is enough. What is happening now is not good for the country.
But Mr. Sani,
let us all come together and reshape it.
Mr. Sani, so let's look at the implications for the PDP now. I'd like Mr. Sowunmi's take on this one. Mr. Sowunmi, now let's note that Mr. Sani has also told that this is a repeated occurrence when it comes to Atiku Abubakar. He's left the party from before. He's also come back. And it seemed like from what he said, the PDP was expecting him back to come strengthen the party, and that didn't seem to work. So it's like there is a position for Atiku Abubakar inside of the PDP, and it seems to always still be there. So the question now is, if his ambition, like Judith puts it, in the ADC doesn't work out, is that position still waiting for him in the, at the PDP? Are they weakened by his resignation at the PDP, since he is seen as an icon for the party? And like Judith asked, when it's time to come back, how does that affect the perception of people for the PDP? Mr. Sowunmi, please.
Yes, I mean, it's quite clear that Atiku, like Mr. Sani actually got it right, that it's about his own personal ambition, and constitutionally, he has a right. There is nobody's against that.
Yeah, but my question, Mr. Sowunmi, is the effect on the PDP. Does it weaken the PDP that he resigned from that party to join another party? And would they take him back, as they often did?
That's exactly where I'm going.
Okay.
If you look at the way Amana, he left the PDP this time around, he left the PDP in the middle of a crisis. It's quite totally different from the past. It's started departure from one party to the other. This time around, this is when leadership is required from Atiku. And don't forget, he has a history of after losing an election, leaving the country, going to stay in Dubai, leaving the party, for others to build. But this time around, he left right in the middle of the crisis without helping to resolve it, and then joining another coalition. So he has probably contributed, in no small measure, to weakening the PDP. So I cannot see how, after the next election, if Atiku loses, that is, we are assuming that you get the ADC ticket, that he will be allowed back into the PDP. I think the door will be shut, firmly shut, at him. The wicked tendency is now prevailing in the PDP. So I cannot see Atiku being able to come back if he loses the next election, he probably will retire from politics.
Sorry, Judith, but then, so the PDP then, is the PDP dead without Atiku? I'd like both your takes. Mr. Sowunmi, summarily, please.
Yeah, no, PDP is not dead without Atiku. Of course, Atiku is not the only factor in PDP. There are still other tendencies, within the PDP. We know that PDP is still very strong in the Southeast. Yes, they may not be controlling many of the governors, but they have a huge following in the Southeast, also in the North. And, the likes of Bode George are still holding forth in Lagos as a few places, even though they may not have made major impacts when it comes to the outcome of elections. But when you look at the figures being pulled together by PDP throughout the whole country, I mean, you're talking of 6 million. Even if they lose 1 million or 2 as a result of Atiku, PDP will only be weakened, but will have the opportunity to rebuild later. What it also means is that ADC will not be strong enough to actually stop Tinubu from being re-elected. So yes, PDP will be weakened, but PDP will not be destroyed as a result of that.
Sorry about that. Very quickly, let me come to Mr. Sani with that question, but let's add a little more layer to that, Mr. Sani, right? As we're talking about the weakening of the PDP, let's put 2 factors here. Number 1 is the remaining strongholds for the PDP, and that's Seyi Makinde with Oyo State, and of course, Osun State with Adeleke. Now, we know that there's now been talks about defection with Adeleke is now back on the news when it comes to defections. What would happen to PDP strongholds? That's one question, as we're seeing the mass defections happening with PDP. And then 2, what would happen to Wike? Because if there is no space for in the PDP for Atiku, if he decides to go back, if his ambitions are not met in the ADC, why is there still space being held for Wike and his, what's it called? How do you say, playing for both teams? Or as perceived playing for both teams? Mr. Sani?
Okay. Let me answer that of the first question, where it says whether PDP is dead. Let me say that the PDP is still very much alive, and that strongholds are determined by several factors. For instance, when Adeleke won the Osun governorship, he needed the support, and he got the support of the former governor of Osun State, who is now the secretary of the ADC. He is also a very influential figure in that. So his presence in whichever side could tilt the strength of a political party. So wherever he is, it makes that political party very strong. So having said that, I remember what I'm talking about is Aregbesola. Having said that, Now, coming to Atiku's whether he is going to move and his movement he will come back to people. I think Atiku is very careful. He understands that this is his only last chance because so many factors are on his side, against him, his age and everything. So he wants to, take his final shot. And I think he wants to get it right this time. And that is why he is against any obstruction. Now, he didn't leave because the party was in the middle of the crisis. He tried everything possible to resolve the crisis, but it appears that there is a gang up against him. The governors forum ganged up against him. They are not with him. They are a very important pressure group within the party. When he said there should be a coalition, they said should be no coalition. So these are issues that have, then Wike is there from the sideline, also against him. The party ESCO, the National Working Committee, majority against him. And so you can even see, to even, move, to even deal with him, his governor in his own state went ahead to remove him as Waziri of Adamawa just because of political reason. Now, these are issues that will have to inform somebody to say, okay, if they don't want me, let me go to somewhere where they will like me. And so his movement is justified. To move from another, it is not a question of that he is a serial defector. No, he is frustrated. Most people believe that his own ambition is dampening their own ambition. And that if wherever he is left, he is going to triumph. And because he's going to triumph, it is better for us to gang up against him. And if you gang up against me, there are other options. And I think he took other options to be able to realize his ambition. I don't see anything wrong with that. Thank you.
For the PDP and the APC, or rather, the PDP and the APC, yeah. So with his defection to the ADC, you have to wonder exactly how they're going to play in states like Lagos and Adamawa, PDP versus APC. Is he going to move the loyalty of his states to the ADC, and will that happen in the course of 2 years just before the elections? And for Lagos State, what presence does the ADC have in Lagos? Noting that Lagos is very unique when it comes to the play of politics in Nigeria, with the APC being the current administration and Lagos being somewhat, it's, I don't want to say seat of power, but it's a very unique state for the APC. So how do you think the ADC is going to try and get these votes from these states that are extreme when it comes to their preference?
What do you mean that it's not the seat of power, Mazino? The seat of power is...
Let's leave it like that.
By proxy is easier.
Let's leave it like that. But what strategy do you think the ADC could employ to try and get these states? Oh, sorry, Mr. Sowunmi, my apologies.
Okay. Yeah, when it comes to ADC, forget about Lagos. For me, there are a lot of factors at play. Some of it, people talk about it, some people don't talk about it. There is the issue of those who played a role during June 12th, one way or the other, that plays up in the minds of some people in the Southwest here, and with a resolution that, look, it's like dancing on Abiola's grave if they're allowed to get into power. That plays up without people talking about it in many leading activists and politicians' mind, even at the local level, but people don't talk about it so loudly. Then you have the fear factor in the Southwest when it comes to Lagos. There's no doubt about it. Many Southwest states would rather have Lagos, stay within the APC for now, particularly not because they love APC, but because they see APC as representing a tendency that is likely going to preserve their political leadership in their different states or in their different communities. So they tend to perceive a certain level of fear when it comes to a new entrant into that political structure which is in Lagos. So that's another factor that we militate against. Then the third factor is you have the incumbency factor. The governor currently is a member of the APC, and it's not only that, all the structures of the ground are not even controlled by the government. They are more or less directly controlled by the president himself. So for somebody to break through would require a high level of incursions into different structures layered in Lagos in order to be able to achieve that. And of course, we also have the traditional institutions. They are also there. They always play a role behind the scene in the Southwest. People don't know about this. The traditional institutions, whether I'm not referring to the Obas, the kings and the ballets, I'm also referring to different fraternities within the Yoruba culture. You see people play a role one way or the other. They all play the role behind the scene, mobilizing their members and ensuring the victory of whichever tendency they think is in their interest. And that was what Jonathan realized, that it was Jonathan that first realized that when he tried to make to get elected for a second term and try to move into that sector and see whether I could exploit it. But till now, the sector remains solid, and that is also one of the reasons why it is difficult for any opposition party, to take over Lagos. For instance, one of the opposition, those who contested for the last governorship election in 2023, about 2 years ago, I went to see a friend, and surprisingly, I met him in his place with some traditionalists, was actually trying to get their blessings and moving behind the scene. And this is somebody who some allege, came from a different part of the country. So there are a lot of things that happen in Lagos that people don't talk about it. What you see is see the result. Except you are able to break those strangleholds, those traditional structures, it's always going to be very, very difficult to change the fortune of Tinubu-led APC in Lagos.
All right, Mr. Sowunmi. Let's ask Mr. Sani his take on the Adamawa instance now, as ADP tries to gather votes from there, noting it's a PDP state currently. Mr. Sani.
Yes, you see, we have to really understand and appreciate that within the Nigerian political context, the individuals play a very important role. Where they are naturally tilts a particular state, or a particular demography, or a particular set of electorates to that particular area. Now, in 2023, Lagos was a no-go area, and we felt that because Tinubu came from Lagos, there was no way that anybody could have won Lagos. But Peter Obi did the unthinkable. He went to Lagos and he defeated Tinubu in Lagos. That's a feat that cannot be washed away, because you can't wish it away, because it has happened. That's Tinubu's greatest stronghold. Now, Atiku Abubakar, his stronghold is Adamawa. He wins most times, except for once, where Buhari defeated him. And like I will always say, is that the impediment to Atiku's progress politically is Buhari, because Buhari has taken all the chunk where Atiku ought to be shining. Mm-hmm. So now Atiku is now, at a level playing, because there is nobody who is now going to be his encumbrance or impediment, like a Buhari now. So Adamawa State, you can see people have started moving to Adamawa State. You can see Benani has now decided to quit APC to join ADC. These are alignments. These are people coming together to say, okay, yes, we have decided that we want to work with Atiku, and the strength of Atiku, the strength of Benani, the strength of other political actors, will now shape the ADC and make it much more vibrant.
As we wrap up this discussion, sir, I got to ask you, Mr. Sani, earlier in two submissions back from you, you said that this might be or this is the Atiku's final chance to achieve his ambition of presidency. But earlier before that, you had noted that in any government, in any democracy, in any country, it is hard to unseat an incumbent president or an incumbent government. From that submission, do you think that Atiku has a chance with the ADC this time to unseat Tinubu, giving the juggernaut that the APC have become in the last 6 months? And who will now clinch the ticket for the PDP? What names are we going to see on the primary ticket ahead of 2027? Very quickly.
If one feat has been achieved previously, it does not preclude that it cannot be achieved again. Now, it depends on how the coalition comport themselves. If the coalition, become very effective or even more effective than when ADC came into play, Tinubu has no standard votes allocated to him to say, okay, yes, this man, unlike Buhari, when he has 12 million, he comes into the play with 12 million votes. So he is looking for additional votes to be able to defeat the incumbent. Here, the person who is the incumbent, you can't specify any vote for him. In fact, if you are to look at his votes, 5.8 million of his 8-point-something million votes came from the north. And that is now where it is Atiku's stronghold. And Atiku is no longer contesting with the Buhari. And he is no longer contesting, the hegemony or the control of the north with Buhari. So it is now a question of how will the coalition, take advantage of this situation to be able to muster all the votes, northern votes, move to other areas and give some surprises, where Rauf Aregbesola can give a surprise in Oshun, and some other key places where there will be shockers. And the coalition can defeat the president because, one, the president is perceived not to be doing well.
As for the PDP?
For the PDP, we look forward to who is even going to be the presidential candidate, because as it is now, I do not see PDP having any strong presidential candidate. And even if they do, for instance, we have a Makinde as a presidential candidate.
Did he just ask if Wike could be a suggestion?
I mean, because they've been clamoring for the southeast to clinch the ticket.
Wike has already declared his position, except if, as late Abiola will say, that only a fool that does not change his mind, But he has already said that in 2027, he stands with the mandate. He stands with Tinubu. So perhaps if he wants to change his mind, to come and contest.
How confusing is that? However, Mr. Sowunmi, I don't know if you get what I'm asking. How confusing is it that he stands with that APC mandate, but yet as an icon inside of the PDP? It's like I don't want to, now permit me to say this, I'm not using this in strict context, but it's like a sheep in wolf's clothing, if you get what I mean, Mr. Sowunmi. Do you agree?
Wike is not contesting against Tinubu. He made it clear himself. He said, look, he will not contest against
But he's also clamored for a southeastern ticket for the PDP. He believes that the zoning should go to the southeast.
In a rare occurrence, in let's say very rare.
Yes, he has actually changed his own mind too, because if you remember, Wike was actually complaining about being deprived PDP ticket by Atiku. Now that he has an opportunity for the same PDP ticket, now that he's a lot of the manner in the PDP, he's now saying, well, maybe someone else should take the ticket. And I cannot see Seyi Makinde being able to make any major impact in terms of gathering the necessary votes in the southeast or in the southwest or in the northwest or northeast. So I don't know whether PDP will be able to field any strong candidate. It remains to be seen. But certainly, what seems very clear from all the utterances of PDP officials, I mean the Wike people, is that PDP will be presenting a candidate from the south. That's very clear. It made that very interesting because you now have Atiku coming in, and there are also other people within in the north who felt that if an Atiku emerges as the president, it will affect their own chances of being of having an opportunity, by 2031. So there are a lot of permutations, all in the air. No one is very clear about where they're going. There's also the issue of whether Obi will remain in PDP, because I cannot see a situation where Obi will stay in PDP when in reality Atiku will be the presidential candidate. Obi plans to contest the election. He has made it very clear. He even went as far as promising to use only one term so that the consideration for the turn-by-turn Nigerian Limited will not be affected. So he has made it very clear. Many Obedients have made it very clear that they cannot see Obi becoming the vice presidential candidate to Atiku. So what will happen there, we still don't know. There's the issue of those who have gone to court challenging, the ADC takeover by the Atiku people that's actually against their constitution. But when the court rules, we don't know. So this issue of ADC might even be a theoretical debate rather than a concrete one, because if I know Atiku very well, he will simply move.
Theoretical indeed. I mean, Mr. Sowunmi, you just summarized it. It might still just be theoretical, and I think that just kind of like puts it all into context here for us.
Yeah, and it also makes you wonder, because besides just Peter Obi and the ADC and him trying to go for presidency, there's also the faction of the Labour Party that is, very they're working against him.
Very possessive.
Very possessive of him. We'll see how this will play out all the way to it's just 2025. I'm really tired of talking about 2027. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on. Umar Sani there. He is one of the media advisor for former Vice President Namadi Sambu, and also a member of the PDP, and also respected public analyst, and that is Mr. Sowunmi. Once again, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you for coming on.